In this week's episode, we're going to be discussing tips and techniques for finding sheds.
Mossy Oak Properties, where outdoorsmen find their favorite place.
Mr. Altizer, just when you think deer season is over and all the habitat and all that stuff and TSI is up and coming, it really doesn't stop now, does it?
No. This lifestyle, the deer hunting lifestyle, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
24/7, buddy.
Yeah. There's always something to do and enjoy and look forward to and be grateful for. And
Yes.
this time of year, during the winter, I mean, we've done an entire series of videos about habitat season and TSI, running chainsaws, controlled burns, and drip torches, and all the work that you can be doing for wildlife and especially deer during the winter months. But I mean,
It is work.
it is work, yeah. Take a load off. And in this video, we're going to talk about, not that the work isn't fun, but it is work. And we're going to talk about something that's just plain fun in this video, and that's shed hunting.
Shed hunting, I tell you what, it's an activity for the whole family.
Yeah.
You know, conservation should be about family. It should be about your neighbors. It should be about your friends
Yeah.
and stuff. It should be a community type event and education.
Yeah.
And going out there as a family or just by yourself to get some therapy, because everybody does need some me time,
Yeah.
and get your steps in. There's no mission. There's no
no.
like I have to find something. It's
Yeah.
finding a needle in a haystack.
Yeah.
It really truly is. You find the smallest one to those big ones that, you know, Ohio and Iowa and Illinois,
Yeah.
you know, those freaks of nature and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, when I see, I'll push you down to find a spike.
Yeah.
If I see it before you do. That's what's fun, man.
Oh, yeah. No, shed hunting's a blast. I mean, even if you go out and you don't find it, you still learn a lot.
Oh, boy.
It's a scouting trip. I mean, this time of year, gosh, winter, you got cabin fever. If you go out and you don't find it, it's a walk in the woods, if nothing else.
Yeah.
But gosh, yeah, finding a shed antler, and even the smallest ones, I find more small ones than I do big ones.
Yeah.
But it's so much fun. And before we go into any tips about it, let's first answer the question of why do bucks shed their antlers this time of year?
Yeah. You know what? It is a life cycle. You know, white-tailed deer does have a life cycle.
Yeah.
And those bucks, you know, they shed because you know, the sunlight's increasing. The testosterone is decreasing.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of research out there that you can get, you know, Mississippi State University, a lot of great quality people that you can find out those exactly the main reasons why, because everybody kind of has their own opinion of it.
Right.
But they drop them, okay, and then here, believe it or not, it's within months.
Oh, yeah.
The process starts again.
Yeah.
And sometimes depends on how stressed the deer is, whether it had an injury.
Right.
You know, it might drop in December parts of the country.
Yeah.
So, you know, I know this year, 2024, people are finding quite a bit already in January. In January, back in the day, that was like really early.
Right.
So usually it's February, March. But those bucks, I tell you what, you can start seeing some growth around March in some places in this country. It's like as soon as they drop them, it's not right away,
Yeah.
but it's soon after.
Yeah, it's really cool. There's a lot of variability, and I mean, gosh, when you think about it, yeah, I've had pictures of bucks dropping in December, as you said,
Yeah.
and I've had pictures of bucks, usually younger bucks, holding both sides middle of April.
I know.
So it's this
I remember
big window.
turkey hunting end of April and having a buck come up like, what?
I know, it's
Yeah.
so cool, and it's especially cool, as you mentioned, not to get sidetracked, but yeah, a buck may drop his antlers. Today's February 2nd. Here within a month, he's already growing that next set of
Yeah.
antlers, which is super cool.
Yeah.
But to find shed antlers, number one, you got to be willing to walk. Put in some miles, you know, put some boot leather on the ground. And by no means is it something that you have to work towards. Don't feel like you have to go out and find sheds. But if your intention is to go out and find a certain buck's antlers, that, you know, a 3 or 4 year old that made it to the next year and you really want to put your hands on his antlers, it's going to take some time and effort. So that's really tip number one. Be prepared to put boots on the ground, cover a lot of ground, zigzagging, grid searching your property. It's a time investment if you want to be serious about it.
Yeah, and there's many types, again, many ways is what I'm trying to say, of finding sheds.
Yeah.
You said, like Cody mentioned, you know, one thing, let's take a step back. in the earlier part of the season, like this is February, early part of the season, don't go hitting your main areas, your bedding areas and stuff, at least in my opinion. Find the easy places, because we don't want to be pushing those deer off the property and stressing them out even more.
Right.
You know, because some parts they're still, in Ohio, they're still hunting. You know, yeah. So you know the winter wheat fields, your fruit plots, you know, fence areas, you know, where they jump, they hit the ground, and that shock, you know. And some people, believe it or not, as crazy as it sounds, and I have done this and it has worked, is a shed trap.
Yeah.
Shed trap, and I'd love to, I wish we could show it to you, but what it is putting corn out, and I remember putting it in like brush and multiflora, so that way when it gets in there, you know, in theory, it gets all tangled up in there, or even fence, next to a fence where it'll knock it off. But a shed trap, sky's the limit, you know. But yeah, it's something, as Cody said, you have to put some boots on the ground, be patient, and if you find one, trust me, it's a success. Oh yeah. You know, I've walked out of woods where my arms have been tired, and there's been years where I found a spike and it was like a little kid. This is stupid. You know, so it's that. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, some years you go out and you can walk and you can walk and you can walk and you just don't find them. Yeah. And then some days you'll go out you won't even be looking for them. Yeah. You'll be out in the woods doing something else and you'll find them. But use your trail cameras too. If you're still getting pictures of bucks holding both antlers, don't go shed hunting. There are no sheds to be found. Don't go after it. So all that to say, like, you know, you can make shed hunting whatever you want it to be. If you want to be real casual about it, which is what it is for me, I'm not a big time shed hunter. There's a lot of other things I'd rather be doing in the woods, but I do like to take a couple walks every year to see if I can find a shed. But if you're super serious about it, and you and I know a lot of guys who they almost love shed season more than hunting season. Oh yeah. Use your trail cameras. You can still glass crop fields. Yeah. I mean, you know, scout for sheds in a way. You can be, you know, really efficient and effective scouting for shed season, just like you would preparing for a deer season, using your trail cameras and glassing and whatnot. And one thing that you mentioned, you said scouting for sheds, and really, we joked around in the beginning of the episode about scouting and how deer season kind of never stops. Yeah. While you're shed hunting, take some ribbon with you, because you're going to see new deer runs that they're avoiding you from the stand. They're going to be, you can ribbon, you can mark, you can GPS on your phone, you know, with Onyx or whatever. You know, there's all these new things that you're going to discover because you're scouring, there's no refuge, if you will, on your property, for sure. Now, the cool thing about shed hunting is you're looking, as you mentioned, for a needle in a haystack. Yeah. So, you know, if you're out, no matter the habitat type, like you're not looking eyes wide open. You're looking for little teeny tiny details, which is really cool. I mean, you know, as you get into it, your eyes will become trained to find those little things that when you're hunting, or if you're not really intentional about what you're doing in the woods, you'd pass over. Shed hunting, you may not find sheds, but because you're looking for something so small, it opens your eyes to like how many really cool things there are just to stumble upon in the natural. I don't know how many turtle shells I found. Box turtles, right? Yeah, that's right. Never thought there was that many until you went out actually shed hunting. Yep. But we talked about, again, briefly, I'm going to go back to this as a family, a community type thing about conservation. Because, I mean, the amount of education and bringing the youth into conservation, shed hunting, I tell you what, I can't, as silly as that is, can bring people together to the outdoors, just in recreation in general. Oh yeah. I know my son, just a quick story, it is a good story to teach, is he was kind of into hunting and stuff like that, but I knew shed hunting, that finding something and that adrenaline that these kids need, that instant boom, satisfaction. So I remember rushing home when we were going to go shed hunting, and I would take some sheds that I found in past years, and I would run out there and place them. And then when he got off the school bus, he would run and go, let's go, and we would go, and he would find these sheds, and he was so hooked. That's all he wanted to do. But when we were walking shed hunting, I seen him flipping over rocks. I seen him playing in the creek. Those things that's kind of missing today. Oh yeah, for sure. So when it does come time to go out and look for sheds, as you mentioned early on, you know, stay out of your best spots. As I mentioned, if you're still getting pictures of bucks with antlers, don't go looking for them because you're not going to find them. But when it comes time, you know, March, April, when it's really time to hit it hard, look for shed antlers where
you look for deer. Where you'd expect to find a buck, food sources, then that's when you can really dive deep into your bedding areas. Trails in between both of those spots. Check your creeks, streams, water holes. If you're still putting out corn, baiting, you know, that's a good way to concentrate deer, especially bucks, you know, and help you find shed antlers that way. So the possibilities are endless. And then I found antlers just in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, I remember.
Randomly.
I remember, old man. I was doing a seminar, and the old man, somebody asked this old man, "Where are you finding sheds?" He goes, "Where they drop them."
Exactly.
That's pretty much it, right there.
Yeah, you can spend hours scouring the best food sources, bedding areas, but if the buck walks one day from A to B and he takes the most random route and that's where he dropped it, that's where it's going to be. Yeah. One food source that often gets overlooked for finding shed antlers, especially where I'm at in big timber country in the mountains, identify your red oak flats.
Oh yeah.
Because red oaks last a lot longer into the winter and spring, and I found a lot of sheds. And then you wouldn't, when you're walking a big open timber, a lot of big red oaks, you're not going to think like, man, this is where there's going to be a lot of deer this time of year. It's not deery habitat for the winter, but there's underneath those, on top of the leaves underneath, there's a lot of red oak acorns, which is a high carb, highly nutritious food source, especially for deer, especially this time of year. And I found a lot of antlers around red oaks well into March.
You mentioned the red oak and those flats and stuff. That is food.
Yeah.
You know, especially that early time when you're starting to, you know, look for sheds. And depending on how bad your winter weather was, think like that. If it was severe, you know, if you have a nice red oak flat, you're going to find a lot of deer activity.
Yeah.
You know, I've even found sheds with honey locusts, the pods, because the winter food source was so bad that they were just going to eat anything.
Yeah.
So I've had clients go out there and cut aspen trees down and found sheds, you know, because the deer were browsing on that soft the buds and stuff. So you can kind of use your brain.
Yeah, there are a lot of layers to shed hunting, and the more you peel back the onion, the more you can learn. You mentioned weather. Look for south-facing slopes. That's generally where deer are going to bed, especially during the winter, because south-facing slopes get that thermal radiation. Warmer sun helps them stay warm, conserve calories during the winter. So look for south-facing slopes to get a lot of sunlight. This sounds a little extreme, but some days I won't go shed hunting if it's sunny.
Oh, absolutely. Slam dunk comment. I can't believe we forgot that.
And it depends on where I'm looking. If it's a bluebird sunny day, I'll go looking in fields because a white antler with the sun hitting it shines like a beacon. But I'm not going to look for antlers in the timber on a sunny day because those shadows are so harsh. I mean, you could be 5 feet from an antler. You can't
walk
see it.
Right by them.
You'll walk past it. So I look for antlers in the timber on cloudy days because there are no shadows and those antlers pop out easier. I look for antlers in the fields on sunny days because that sun hits them and it's easier to see. So it sounds a little extreme, but once you've learned those things, it makes a big difference.
Yeah. Shed hunting can be, like Cody mentioned, a rabbit hole. I mean, there's people that have written books about shed hunting. There's people that do seminars about shed hunting.
Right.
I don't know about all that. They drop them where they drop them. Hit the obvious spots first, early part of the year. And as it goes, you can kind of start venturing off into bedding areas and all those other fun places that you normally don't get to go. And learn, do the family, do community, get your boys, go have fun, and that's the thing. You get some exercise, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, shed hunting can be many things. You can learn a lot about your property, your habitat. You can learn a lot about a specific buck that you're hunting. But above all else, going into shed hunting season, number one goal should be just to have fun. Go out, have a good time, and if you find a shed antler, big or small, it's just icing on the cake.
Mossy Oak Properties. We're outdoorsmen. Find their favorite place.